Hello, I'm Emily, and welcome back to the Hey English podcast. You've made it to day 5 of our 30-day English learning challenge. And today, we're diving into one of the most personal and meaningful topics of all, your family. Think about it for a moment. Family is usually the very first word we learn as children. They're the people who raised us, who shaped us, who know us better than anyone else. And when you're learning English, being able to talk about your family isn't just useful. It's one of the most powerful ways to connect with others. It's real, it's emotional, and it instantly builds trust. But here's the big question. What happens when someone looks at you and says, "Can you tell me about your family?" Do you freeze? Do you stumble for words? Maybe you just answer with one short line like, "I have one brother," and then silence. Now imagine something different. Imagine you could answer that question with confidence, with warmth, and with stories that bring your family to life. Imagine the connection you could create just by sharing a little more. That's exactly what we're going to do today. In this episode, I'll show you how a few simple phrases can completely change the way you talk about your family in English. By the end, you'll not only have the words, you'll have the confidence to share your family story in a way that feels natural and genuine. So, take a deep breath, get ready, and let's begin this journey together. Today's challenge is all about family. Our goal is simple. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to describe your family members, talk about their jobs or hobbies, and even share little stories about them in English. Why does this matter so much? Because in real life, this is one of the most common questions people ask when they are getting to know you. If you meet a new friend, a teacher, a colleague, or even someone while traveling, sooner or later they will ask, "Do you have brothers or sisters?" Or, "Tell me about your family." And when you can answer confidently, you immediately build trust and connection. Talking about family is not just about grammar or vocabulary. It's about showing who you are. When you say, "I have two sisters, one is a teacher, and the other loves cooking," you are not just giving information, you are opening a window into your life. And that makes you more relatable and interesting. The challenge for today is this. I want you to practice telling a short story about your family. Not just names, not just numbers. A real, simple description. For example, you might say, "My mother is very kind. She works in a hospital. She loves flowers, and she always smiles when she sees her garden." That is already a beautiful, personal picture. So, today we are not only learning the words for mother, father, brother, or sister, we are learning how to use those words to share feelings, details, and little parts of our lives. By the end of this episode, you'll be ready to talk about your family in English with confidence, with warmth, and with joy. Let me share something I often hear from English learners. Many of my students tell me that when someone asks about their family, they feel nervous. They know the words for mother, father, brother and sister, but when it comes to building full sentences, they suddenly forget everything. I remember one student, a young man from Asia, who once told me this story. He was in a job interview, and the interviewer asked him, "Can you tell me a little about your family?" Now, this was not a very difficult question, but he froze. He said only, "I have a family." And then he laughed awkwardly because he couldn't think of what else to say. Afterward, he told me he felt embarrassed because he knew many things he could have said in his own language, but in English, the words didn't come out. Have you ever felt the same? You want to speak, but your mind goes blank? Or maybe you are afraid that your grammar will be wrong, so you choose to stay quiet. That silence can feel heavy, and it stops you from connecting with people. This is the real struggle many English learners face. It's not that you don't love your family. It's not that you don't have anything to share. The problem is that you don't yet have the confidence and the simple phrases ready in your mind to express those feelings. And here's the truth. Talking about your family doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need long, difficult sentences. You just need a few clear, short expressions and a little bit of practice to say them naturally. Once you learn these, the fear disappears and the confidence begins. Now, let's look at what really holds people back when they try to talk about their family in English. There are both emotional barriers and logical barriers. The emotional barrier often comes first. Many learners tell me, "I feel shy. I'm afraid I'll make mistakes." You might think, "What if people laugh at me? What if they don't understand me?" These fears are powerful. They can stop you from even trying. And when you don't try, you miss the chance to improve. Another emotional barrier is comparison. You might hear someone else speaking smoothly and think, "My English is not good enough." But remember this. Your English doesn't need to be perfect to be meaningful. When you talk about your family, people don't listen for grammar. They listen for your heart. Now, the logical barriers. Sometimes the problem is vocabulary. You may not know how to say uncle, cousin, or grandparents. Or maybe you know the words, but you don't know how to connect them in sentences. For example, you might know the word brother, but you're unsure how to say, "My brother is older than me." Another logical barrier is translation. Many learners try to translate directly from their own language, and it doesn't always work in English. For example, in some languages, you might say big brother or small sister, but in English, we usually say older brother or younger sister. If you translate word for word, it might sound strange. These barriers, fear, comparison, lack of vocabulary, direct translation, are the main reasons learners struggle with this topic. But here's the good news. All of them can be solved with small, clear steps. And that's exactly what we are going to do in the next parts of this episode. The very first solution to overcome your struggle is simple. Master the core family vocabulary. Without this foundation, it's like trying to build a house without bricks. So, what are the most important words? Let's start with the basics. Father, mother, brother, sister, son, daughter. Then add a few more that are very common in everyday conversations. Parents, children, husband, wife, grandfather, grandmother. And if you want to go just a little deeper, you can include uncle, aunt, cousin. Now here's the key. Don't just memorize these words like a list. Use them in short, simple sentences. For example, my mother is very kind. I have 2 brothers. My grandmother lives in another city. When you practice like this, the words begin to feel natural in your mouth. The more you repeat them, the faster they come to your mind when you need them. Another trick is to connect these words with real faces in your life. When you say father, picture your father. When you say sister, imagine your sister. That way, the word is not just an English term, it becomes connected to your emotions, and emotions make memory stronger. So, step 1 is to build your family vocabulary and practice it in short, personal sentences. Once you do this, you will already feel more confident. Now that you know the core family words, the next step is to start forming simple sentences. Remember, your goal is to communicate, not to impress anyone with perfect grammar. Simple, clear sentences are more than enough to tell your story. For example, you can use this structure. Here are a few examples. My father is very hardworking. My sister likes painting. I have 1 brother and 2 cousins. The trick is to start with just 1 or 2 sentences, then gradually add more details. You can describe their jobs, hobbies, or even personality. For instance, my mother is a teacher. She loves reading books and cooking delicious meals. My brother is funny. He always makes me laugh. Using small, connected sentences like this is powerful. It builds confidence because you are not trying to say everything at once, and it makes your speech sound natural and engaging. Here's another tip. Practice speaking these sentences out loud. Don't just write them down. Hearing yourself say, "My grandfather loves gardening," helps you remember the structure and feel comfortable using it in real conversations. Once you are confident with simple sentences, you are ready to move to storytelling about your family, adding small stories that make your English come alive. Once you can introduce your family with simple sentences, the next step is to add little stories and details. This is what makes your English interesting and memorable. People connect with stories much more than with plain facts. For example, instead of just saying, "My brother is a student," you could say, "My brother is a student. He studies engineering, and last month he built a small robot for his school project." See how that extra detail makes the picture clearer and more engaging? Here's another example. Instead of saying, "My grandmother lives in the village," you could say, "My grandmother lives in the village. Every morning she wakes up early and feeds her chickens. When I visit her, she always cooks my favorite food." Suddenly, your listener feels like they know your grandmother a little bit. The good news is these stories don't need to be long or complicated. Just add one or two extra details about what your family members do, what they like, or what memories you share with them. Even something small like, "My sister loves singing. She always sings in the shower," can make people smile and remember your words. This technique also helps you practice more vocabulary. When you describe hobbies, jobs, or daily routines, you naturally use different words and phrases. And the more you use them, the stronger your English becomes. So here's a challenge for you today. Choose one family member and tell a short, two-sentence story about them. Keep it simple, but make it personal. This will train your brain to think in English and express yourself with confidence. Now, let's talk about something very important: mistakes and doubts. Because no matter how much you practice, you might still feel nervous when speaking about your family in English. That's normal. One of the most common mistakes learners make is using the wrong word for relationships. For example, saying cousin brother or cousin sister. In English, we just say cousin. It doesn't matter if they are male or female. Another common mistake is confusing uncle and aunt. These things happen, and it's okay. People will still understand you most of the time. Another doubt many learners have is, what if I forget the word? Here is a simple solution. Describe it. If you forget the word uncle, you can say, "my father's brother." If you forget aunt, say, "my mother's sister." This way, you are still communicating clearly. And very often, the listener will give you the word so you can learn it for next time. Some learners also worry about grammar. For example, they wonder, do I say she work or she works? The truth is, small grammar mistakes are not the end of the world. If you say she work in a hospital, people will still understand you. Of course, we aim to improve, but don't let the fear of mistakes silence your voice. Here's something I want you to remember. Your family story is not about perfect grammar. It's about connection. When you share with honesty and warmth, people focus on your story, not your mistakes. So the next time doubt enters your mind, remind yourself, my English doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be real. Every mistake is a step forward, not a step back. Let's do a short role play together. I'll play both speakers so you can listen and repeat if you want. Imagine this is a simple conversation between two friends meeting for the first time. Person A: "Hi, can you tell me about your family?" Person B: "Sure, I have one brother and one sister." "Oh, that's nice. What do they do?" "My brother is a student. He studies computer science. My sister loves cooking." "Do you live with your family?" "Yes, I live with my parents and my sister. My brother lives in another city." "That sounds lovely. Do you spend time together?" "Yes, every weekend we have dinner together. We talk, laugh, and enjoy our time." Now, let's try a second example that's even shorter. "Do you have brothers or sisters?" "Yes, I have two sisters." "Are they older or younger?" "One is older than me and one is younger." See how simple this is? Just a few sentences can make a nice, natural conversation. Here's what I encourage you to do. After listening, repeat the dialogue aloud in your own voice. You can also change the details to fit your real family. For example, say, "I have 3 brothers," or My father is a teacher. The more you practice, the easier it will be to answer these questions in real life. Now it's time to focus on a few useful words and phrases from today's lesson. I'll give you the word, explain it, and show you how to use it in a sentence. Try to repeat after me if you can. Parents. This means your mother and father together. Example, my parents live in a small town. Siblings. This means brothers and sisters. Example, I have 3 siblings, 2 brothers and 1 sister. Relative. This means anyone in your extended family, like cousins, uncles, or aunts. Example, I visited my relatives during the holidays. Close-knit. This describes a family that is very connected and supportive. Example, we are a close-knit family. We always help each other. Take after. A phrase meaning to be similar to someone in your family. Example, I take after my mother because we both love reading. Get along with. This means to have a good relationship with someone. Example, I get along with my sister very well. Spend time together. A simple but powerful phrase to talk about family activities. Example, on weekends, my family spends time together watching movies. These words and phrases will help you sound more natural when talking about your family. Instead of only saying, I have a brother, you can now say things like, I get along with my brother. We spend time together playing football. See how it becomes richer and more expressive? Here's your practice task. Pick 2 of these new words and use them in your own sentence about your family. Speak them out loud, even if you're alone. This will make your learning active and powerful. So today, we took a deep dive into one of the most personal and powerful topics, talking about your family. We started with the idea that family is not just vocabulary, it's emotion. Then we explored the struggles learners face, fear, comparison, lack of words, and translation problems. We solved those struggles step by step. First, by learning the core family vocabulary. Then, by building simple sentences that anyone can say. After that, we added small stories and details, and finally, we practiced comparisons, connections, and traditions. We also looked at common mistakes and doubts, and we discovered that mistakes are not failures. They are signs that you are learning. We practiced a role play together so you can hear how these conversations really sound. And finally, we built your vocabulary with 7 useful words and phrases that will make your English richer and more confident. Now, here's my message for you. Your family is part of who you are. When you talk about them in English, you are not just practicing language. You are sharing your heart. Don't wait until your English is perfect. Start now with what you have. Speak 1 sentence today. Add a detail tomorrow. Build slowly and you'll see your confidence grow. Your challenge for today is simple. Record yourself talking about your family for 1 minute in English. It doesn't matter if you make mistakes. The goal is to practice, to feel your own voice, and to get comfortable expressing something personal in English. And if you found today's episode helpful, I would love for you to share it with a friend who is also learning English. Remember, when you share, you help someone else on their journey. This was day 5 of our 30-day English challenge. You are growing every single day, and I am proud of you. Keep practicing, keep believing in yourself, and never forget, you can do this. I'm Emily, and this is the Hey English podcast. I'll see you tomorrow for day 6.